Hello, you guys, and welcome to the Woman's Cave. And yes, I don't have to raise anyone. Not one single person do I have to raise to say, welcome to the Woman's Cave. By the way, woman's is WOMENS apostrophe. Yes, it is incorrect English. But, no one trademarked the incorrect English. So woman's cave. I can say it as much as I'd like. Anyway, let me see. What else am I supposed to be doing? As you can see, Jade is not here. Therefore, I am here by myself. And, once I'm here by myself, it's unprofessional. Just terribly unprofessional. And considering that we just opened champagne and Jade isn't here to be like, I have your champagne because you said something rude, I'm going to say whatever I want. Anything. The freedom. The freedom. All right. What I am going to say, though, is going to be semi-professional. By the way, I'm Winona. I remember to introduce myself. Oh, moment. Okay, I'm proud. No, I'm done. I'm done being proud. We wrote books, which are literary life guides with pop poetry. Jade would be proud of me. High five to me. And I can do this because social distancing to me does not apply. I can do this all day. Yes. All right. We wrote at the end, I thought divorce was bad. That's also, it's a book. It's on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com, but it's also an audiobook, so it's on Audible.com. We have And I Thought Being Grown-Ups Was Easy, which will soon be an audiobook. And yes, I know we've been saying it for 2 years, but Jill promises that she'll have it by the end of one of these months. She said last month, but it's going to be a month, and there's going to be an end, and she'll have it in before that. But anyway, you should wait for that, for the audiobook, because she does an amazing job. We also write the Misfit Guide series. There's 2 books in that series, and then I am the author of Foreign Coffee, which is also an audiobook. Thank you, Luana, and the Widow's Debt series. We are the co-founders. I don't know why I say co-founders, because it's normally it's 2 people, and we founded it together, so how co-founders applies, because there was no other third person, I don't know. But we are the co-founders of the 25 Hottest Authors magazine. I'd love to go down the rest of the list, but that's long and boring, and it'll take the whole 15 to 30 minutes that we have allotted for this interview. Anyway, I think that's about it. Wait, there should be something around here. 25 Hottest Literary Magazine is coming up in June, but you don't really want to hear anything else about me, right? Let me check in with me. Me says narcissism is good, so I should use the rest of the show. But my brain says no. You want to hear from my wonderful guest. Wonderful guest, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, Ramona. Thank you so much for having me on the show. So my name is Julie Johnson. I'm getting used to calling myself an author because my main profession is I'm a mental health therapist. I live in Iowa. I am a licensed mental health therapist since 2011. And I founded a counseling agency in 2014 called Heart and Solutions. We're a strength-based counseling agency, and here lately we have been all telehealth. So we're offering free telehealth services to anybody who might be going through depression or anxiety right now because of all the changes and isolation that we've been having in our lives. Let's see, I live in Iowa, I've got a husband, I've got a 3-year-old daughter at home with me, no longer in daycare, at home with me while I work on books and while I work on my business. And we have 3 cats at home as well, and a big garden. Big garden, that's important. That's like a whole nother pet.
Hey, I love this introduction. You covered business, professional, and fun. No one ever does that. They're either business or they're really personal.
You gotta have all of it, right? We're one person, but we're all the pieces. So yeah, thank you. Thanks for asking that.
So, it would take a mental health person to say that. Don't look like any piece of you. Oh.
Superpower.
Yup. So how long have you been an author?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like I've been an author inside for a very long time, but in terms of actually having a printed book or a book available on a website or an audio version to be sold, I am a very, very recent author. I would say January of this year is when we kind of started the process of getting the books that I had written and that had been illustrated, actually starting to get printed and out there so that we could share it with everybody. We had no idea at that time how needed breathing techniques for kids would be at that time in January. But since then, kids' lives have just been turned completely upside down. And so breathing techniques like this are just so important for kids to have at their disposal at home.
Are you joking? It's great for an adult to have. I can't imagine like a kid doing this. Like everything I need to breathe, Mama. And so I'm glad that you put this out. Can you show us the book and tell us a little bit?
Sure, absolutely. So this is the book. I'm going to try to focus it in here. So it's called Breathing Through the Year, and it is holiday themed breathing techniques for children and adults alike. So I definitely use them. My daughter is 3 years old. She'll be 4 in June, and she uses them all the time, to the point where if I start to get frustrated or upset, she will say, Mommy, flowers, look. And then she'll have me smell the flowers and breathe out the smell, or she'll hold her hand up to me to do one of the activities. So it's just been really, really helpful, I think, in our family personally, and especially with the hectic lifestyle of running several businesses and having a 3-year-old, there are a lot of opportunities in my life to breathe. So on the cover here, you've got all of the different holidays. We tried to do one for each month of the year, so that kids could kind of remember and attach cognitively those breathing techniques with things that they're already excited about, and they're already familiar with. Right? What kid doesn't love Halloween already? Let's add a breathing technique, something that's healthy, to that thing that they already love. So yeah, there's the book.
I have to ask, are you thinking about doing school visits when kids return to school?
Yeah, I would love to do a curriculum with the breathing techniques. And we're also looking at printing a calendar with each of the breathing techniques on the page of the calendar, so that when those calendars are in the classrooms, that each month they can have a different breathing technique that they can start the day with. So yeah, I would love to do that. Another thing we've looked at for tools for classrooms is we've looked at having this printed as a breathing mat that kids can use. So in my daughter's preschool classroom, they've got breathing mats that they can use as kind of a safe space for themselves to take a little time. And so my thought was, if we had these kind of reminders on the breathing mat itself as visual reminders for kids, then that could remind them when they're on the breathing mat of those different fun techniques that they can use for themselves.
If a child has selected to take time out from what they need that on the mat. Yeah. So you're going to start an entire line. This is kind of fun. It's nice to be interviewing you at the beginning. Now, I believe you said you started something, Heart and I'm not good at it. So can you fill in the rest?
Sure, yeah. So Heart and Solutions, we're a counseling agency in Iowa. We do 2 services. We do mental health therapy in our offices. We've got 7 office locations across Iowa. And then we have in-home behavioral health intervention for children. And that is about 2 hours a week. A behavioral health specialist can come into your house and do art activities or do games and different strategy problems with the child, so that the child can practice their communication skills, their anger management skills, their coping skills, their social skills, just all of those skills that nobody is born with, but that children really, really need and need the opportunity to practice. So right now we're offering telehealth. The insurance companies in our state at least have waived most of the co-payments. They've waived most of the deductible. So if anybody has been thinking, somewhere in their head, hey, maybe therapy or BHIS or behavioral health for my child might be helpful someday, now's the time to do it, because it could be completely free for you at this time with no co-payments. So that's been actually, in some ways, that's been really, really helpful for our clients right now, because, on top of everything else that's going on, they don't have to worry about co-pays or deductibles.
Yes, you don't want to add anxiety about going to talk to someone about anxiety. Because, you know, once you're in the room, you're talking, you're good. You leave the room, you go, good God, how am I going to pay that bill? That's the last one on their mind.
That's right.
So I was just looking at your Facebook page, actually, and it says you have Julie Johnson Stories from the Heart.
Yeah.
So what stories from the heart that you're telling?
Sure, yeah. So Stories from the Heart is the collection of stories that I have. So the only one of those that's available right now is Breathing Through the Year. But I also have several stories that are Christian-based stories for children. So Breathing Through the Year is a completely secular book that is available for any child, can benefit from that. But I also have Christian stories for children that explain concepts that are a little bit difficult for children to understand. Sometimes they're a little difficult for us to understand as adults. So we talk about tithing, we talk about stewardship, we talk about just all kinds of concepts. We talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big one in Christian books, but also in counseling and mental health. So we talk about forgiveness. We talk about relationship and all of these social aspects as well. So Stories from the Heart is just that collection of those books that we will be releasing here as well. Yeah, and then what's that?
I'm sorry. I'm just like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking over my guest. This is not good.
That's okay. That happens with Zoom sometimes with the delay. Yeah, so yeah, I also do a small company called Speaking from the Heart. And so that is public speaking. So every year I speak at the Bikers Against Child Abuse event at the Capitol building in Des Moines. I speak at the Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder statewide conference. So I've spoke at the Empowerment Conference as a keynote speaker for the last 3 years. Right now, I'm not doing a whole lot of speaking. There have been, yeah, most of my events have been canceled. Even some in August already, they've canceled. Which, you know, when you bring that many people together, that's hard. So they have been canceling those, but we're hoping that next year we'll be able to do that again. And yeah, my hope is that when we attend those conferences, that we would have, a lot of times people ask me for different resources, right? What are some resources that I can bring home, or that I could give to my niece or my nephew or my grandchild who I know is struggling, but maybe doesn't have access to mental health care or behavioral health care. And so for those people, my hope is that when we go to those events, people always come up to me afterwards, and that we will have Breathing Through the Year available for them so that they can bring that home to the kids in their lives.
Wow, you are really busy, and you're doing so much, and we're very appreciative of that, especially for mental health for children. I remember Marilyn Hawes once was saying about how if a child has gone through trauma or something like that when they're young, it actually kind of can rewire the brain, and so it takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of therapy to help when they get older. So it's great that you're stepping in now and helping those, even though you can't afford or think about therapy as a solution. That is wonderful. So I have to ask next to the last question, and I should probably stop saying I have to ask. It's not a necessity, but I want to ask anyway. What is it like being a new author in the literary world? How have you liked it?
Sure. Yeah, I feel like I'm just starting to get into the literary world. And so I've attended writing workshops and authors workshops for several years now. So I know people in that world, especially in Iowa. There are a lot of self-published authors in Iowa, a lot. And so there are a lot of networks for that, which is great. There's a lot of events that, you know, usually we do in the summer and the fall, which we may not be able to do this year, unfortunately, but I have been reaching out to a lot of them. I'm actually going to be in an upcoming documentary about new authors who are self-publishing children's books. So that's an exciting thing that's coming up. And so I think that, you know, I try not to get too hung up on, okay, there's so much, right, that I'm learning. There's so much to this field and this community that I'm learning about. But I think that just even being a new author, there is so much that that I can still contribute, even as a new author. There are so many people out there with amazing books in them that they just haven't gotten down on paper, right? Or haven't gotten out into the computer, but the stories are there. And the message is all in there, all the words are there. So, and then there are so many authors who have written amazing stories and amazing books. But they haven't been published into a format that they can go ahead and share that with other people. So one of the things that has been just really encouraging to me lately is just how many of those people have approached me and told me about the stories that they know that they've got inside of them. But there are a lot of hurdles between having that story and knowing that it's in there. Versus, you know, having it in your hand, ready to distribute to other people. That's a big process. And I think that as somebody who's just recently gone through that process, who is making all of the mistakes as I go, that I think that people who know that they have that story but haven't gotten through that process yet can really kind of relate with that and are eager to kind of learn, okay, what is that next step?
So that brings me to almost a segue. I mean, we don't segue here. We really don't. But you kind of segued for me, so I'm going to take it. So you're talking about the next step. What is your next step, and where can people find more information about your stories from the heart and as well as about your mental health hotline?
Oh, sure. Excuse me. So for me, because I am the way that I was going to distribute the book in terms of my speaking engagements, I've had to pivot that. And so right now what I've been doing, and this sounds so, people who are looking to publish their own book just love this information because it's just so simple. And sometimes that can just feel so overwhelming, but literally what I did is I got a website that has a list of all of the libraries in Iowa. And I started with the A's and I just started contacting libraries. And so I am like halfway through the B's. So this is a big project, but it gives me a little bit of direction. And so I know, okay, libraries are doing these awesome live story times for kids. And so most of the libraries that I've reached out to have been really, really interested in sharing these breathing techniques with the kids because they know they're watching this at home on mom's phone, right? And so if they can show them the breathing technique through a librarian that already they know, right? A lot of those librarians go to story time at the daycares, and so it's somebody they know showing them these techniques, then they're very interested in that. So I've just been cold calling my butt off. And it's funny because that's what I used to do for mental health counseling. When we established this company in 2014, it was just me trying to put the word out there that I was available. You know, over the last almost 6 years, we've grown to about 50 team members, and that's all from cold calling, basically, you know, getting the word out as much as we can. And sometimes that just means making a list of schools or making a list of doctors' offices and just going down that list. So that is the next step for me, is I'm trying to get into as many of those live readings for those libraries as possible. And the additional benefit to that is just that I'm finding myself getting more connected with the librarians who really are the heart of a lot of what's going on in the literary world. So that's just been really, really fun meeting them. I am also doing on Heart and Solutions. If you go to www.heartandsolutions.net, N-E-T, that's our website. You can find our phone number there. It's a mobile-friendly website. Just go on there, and the 800 number is about this big, okay, on the screen. So, so you cannot miss it. Go ahead and call us. Linda is going to answer. She is probably the sweetest person you will ever hear. And she's going to answer. She'll get you set up as a new client in our system, and then she will go ahead and get you set up with a therapist. And then you can do that therapy on the phone, or you can do that on the computer, whatever is most comfortable to you. In terms of Stories from the Heart, so our website is www.storiesfromtheheart.shop, S-H-O-P. And that is where you can go ahead and go to order the book. We also have Facebook pages for both of those resources. So for Heart and Solutions, it's facebook.com/heartandsolutions. And you can also message us there. Sometimes people are not as comfortable calling in right away, or like, who's going to answer that phone call? If you go onto our Facebook page, there's a video of Linda. So she will explain what it sounds like when she calls, and once you see her on video, you'll go, okay, what's her number? Let me talk to her as much as possible. She's wonderful. So you can also message us there, and we can walk you through that process too, if you're more comfortable. Sometimes we get Facebook messages at like 3 in the morning because that's when people are thinking about those things, and that's totally fine. We are there to make that process as simple as possible for you in whatever format that you're interested. Stories from the Heart, also, if you do facebook.com/heartandstories, there is also a place on there where you can hit the Shop Now button, and you can see where to buy Breathing Through the Year as well.
This has been very informative and amazing, and our audience does not know how we met, but I have got to say, this has been one of the most fruitful comments on my Facebook post I've ever had. I've learned so much. And I hope we get to do more together. I mean, now that you know who I am, we won't have any interesting comments for each other's Facebook page anymore. So anyway, I'm going to wrap us up. Oh, wait, tell us what the websites are one more time, and then I'll wrap us up.
Absolutely. So www.heartandsolutions.net, N-E-T, and then www.storiesfromtheheart.shop, S-H-O-P.
Thank you so much, Julie. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on. And I'm wrapping up, and Jade is behind the camera now, so I have to behave. Yay!
Hi, Jade. Well, thank you so much, Ramona. I just really appreciate it. And Jade, I hope that you feel better, and I hope to meet you at some point too.
Oh, I'm sure you will. So I'm Winona, and you have listened to Women's Cave, and I've never ever said that line before as a rap. Wow. Anyway, you can catch everything that Your Ladies is doing at www.andwethought.com.
Are doing, not is doing.
Is doing, are doing,
Yes.
are doing. Woo. Jade, did you put
Wow.
Wow. So again, it's at everything Your Ladies are doing at www.andwethought.com. That's why people, I get paid to write, but I can't speak is English. Anyway. When you go to the website, go to the Ladies tab, go down to the middle of the page, and you'll see the 3 charities that we proudly support. We know that times are tight right now, and money is probably not an option to give to charity, and that's fine. We found that when we did a conference with them once that what they really, really need was knowledge. So there are some areas where they're missing a little piece here or a little piece there and a little piece there. Call them, email them, see if the little piece of knowledge that you have may be beneficial so they can keep running, so the people who have money to give can then give it to them. Okay. So I know this is going to be helpful for you because you'll do something selfless, and for them because, you know, they'll still be around. Remember that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona and the behind the camera.
Jade.
Bye.